Good morning. It's daily game design time. I almost thought to say, "Hey class, by the way, I am getting close to being done with grading. At least I feel since I got through the major essays, the stuff that really feels like, wow, this is a lot." I got through the major essays yesterday afternoon. And now it's short stuff that I can basically just kind of check and say, cool, they did it. Maybe leave a comment or two, but in general, I'm getting there. So I feel good about that. I went paddling last evening, had a great time doing that. It's been like, I think it's just twice now. And it's just such a cool thing to be out on the water, be with a group of people. I'll put on some Christmas lo-fi again. So I guess we'll hear a couple ads here in a second. Anyway, just really good. Yeah, good being out on the water, working with a team, working on technique. So I did get called out a couple times. Called out not in like a bad way, but I definitely have habits from canoeing. So it was interesting because the coach, like she's kind of assistant coach, Shannon, she was giving me feedback during the paddle. And that's great because she's sitting right behind me. I think that's one of the reasons. I mean, I'm in the canoe. There is like, I'm learning this stuff, but there's the person who is like leading the stroke. I don't know what they're called. They're in the first seat though. Stroker, I think. Something like that. And then there's the second person. I don't really know what they do. It feels like the second person calls out changes, but I actually can't hear super well like who's actually doing the calling for changes. And so what I mean is we're paddling and then somebody will say, "Ho," and then there'll be kind of an answer from Shannon behind, and then we switch and go to the other side. So I can't tell if that's the second seat or not. Anyway, then there was one lady in front of me. So there's three in front of me and then one behind me. And oh, it's not the 17th. Anyway, just had a really great time getting some, got some feedback. Hopefully next time. Yeah, I'll be making progress on the stroke. Really interesting thing was that the stroke on the left and stroke on the right were really different. And so from canoeing, I guess what's tricky is she kept saying it looked like a kayak stroke. And I think she's probably just like canoed most of her life. I'm not too sure, but it definitely looks different from an outrigger canoe style. So where everybody's pulling together. Like what I'm used to is kind of swinging, coming through, and kind of breaking out of the water, flattening my paddle, and then coming back. And it's probably just an old canoeing habit. I'm not sure even where it came from. I was never like trained for a specific way for canoeing, like Native American style canoeing, right? So it's just different styles of canoe, but in her mind it just looks so different from an outrigger canoe paddling style. So what's interesting then is that was happening on my right but not necessarily my left. Hey Seth. So I got some feedback from. Oh no, I got an email from the lady who gave me feedback on the ADRA game. She's the only one who's actually filled out the form. Where did I put the form?
When you switch, you'll get 4 new iPhone 17 Pros. No trade-in needed. That's right. Get 4 lines for just $25 a line, and the amazing iPhone 17 Pro for everyone. Save big this holiday. Visit Verizon today. $20 monthly promo credits applied.
Seems like very another unstable connection morning. So this is the person who actually gave me feedback through the form itself. Very much appreciate that, because it led to a ton of changes in the rulebook. So I was going to look at that. Anyway, I sent her a follow-up email just saying thanks for the feedback, and these are the things I'm trying differently in the rulebook. And what I didn't realize is almost guaranteed to give everybody the game and have them try it out, they probably printed the rules. So now it's a bunch of people who have outdated rules. And so that's not that cool. I did email Sharon and that group and said that ideally everybody would have the access to the Google Doc just to double check that they have the most up-to-date rules. Because I'll go through this email just to see maybe I should have saved an older version of the rules. Because I can go back and look. I can look at the version history. Because I changed it. I wonder when I made the big changes. I'm going to look at this one. Okay, this is nope. When did she give that feedback? Maybe that's... Okay, I think this is version, I don't know. We'll call it version 1, and we can call the current version 3. This one is probably version... I don't know, I made a lot of changes here too. I'll just say version 2 over here. So I'll go through her email just to illustrate who we're writing for, and like how surprising some of these things were. Well, how yeah, anyway, I'll click back and forth between these versions. So they played with 4 players. It's great. And this was a really interesting part, and this was one of her main realizations they had as they played and tried to figure out the game based on the rulebook. Interesting that everybody in the group has advanced degrees. I think that is really interesting, actually, that we have people who are like educated professionals reading through this rulebook and struggling with the rules. So that should mean something there for sure. One second. Okay, so she pointed out that they all have advanced degrees. Okay, so they were trying to figure out the purpose of having the arrow on ADRA HQ and turning it different directions. We thought, what's the point of turning this if everybody can just use one of their two moves to turn it to the direction they need it on their turn? This is before we guessed, that's an important word there. This is before we guessed that maybe it's because you can actually play two cards if it's already the direction you need. So let me just show where in the rules I describe actions. Okay, so here are the actions. If you play a card, you may take up to 2 actions from the following list in any combination. So that's what the rules said originally. And then I list play a card or refocus HQ. And for some reason, it didn't click with them that these 2 actions are independent. You could do both of them in any combination. So I guess they just thought you can do one of each, but you can do them in either order, maybe. So anyway, I went from this. If you can play a card, you may take up to 2 actions from the following list in any combination. I feel like, I don't know, maybe, I'm not too sure, but I feel like a gamer person, a person who identifies as a gamer and has more gaming experience. I'm curious. I kind of want to share these rules with them, this older version, just to see if they would intuit that it means, well, because I think this implies, it doesn't state clearly, but I think it implies that you could play 2 cards on your turn because it's one of those actions. 2 actions from the following list in any combination. I guess there are just 2 actions in the list. So combination here, maybe they thought order, in any order. But anyway, okay, so that's the old version. Now here's the new version. Okay, okay, taking a turn. Turn sequence, take actions, replenish your hand of cards if necessary. Question, can you play a card to any mission card currently on the top of a mission pile? No, draw a card and pass. Yes, proceed below to turn actions. Turn actions up to 2. If you play a card, you may take up to 2 actions. Oh, I still say... I still use the same language here, but then down here I said possible turns include. I listed the full set of possibilities. Draw a card plus pass. Play 1 card to the mission card in focus plus pass. Refocus HQ plus pass. Now that might be a little heavy-handed. I think it probably is. No, I think I need to just spell this out a little more. So you may take up to 2 actions. Okay, let me just leave this. It's crazy how just one one set of feedback led to a lot of changes in the rulebook. Just realizing, okay, yeah, something is wrong. something is really wrong here. So it was good. It was just good to get that jolt of like, uh-oh, and then have to go back and reflect on how clear the rulebook is. If you can play a card, you may take up to 2 actions. On your turn. you can combine your actions in Seth, are you still running an RPG? Like a weekly RPG? Not online, I mean in person. Oh, yikes. Is that with, okay, Wednesday nights. Is it outside Armchair still, or are you guys meeting somewhere else? Okay, if you can play a card, you may take up to 2 actions on your turn. I kind of need to just get rid of it. Get rid of this table. You can play up to 2 actions. You can take up to 2 actions on your turn. Yeah, same place. Justin, Chris, Roxanne, Nate. We just picked up Nick. When Rick and Madonna are in town, they join us. Okay, I'm pretty sure I don't know Justin and... I'm pretty sure I don't know any of those people. Do I know any of those people? Is it Nick, like Monday nights Nick, or a different Nick? Yeah, apart from Roxanne, I that's what I meant. Sorry. Apart from Roxanne, I don't think I know any of them. Or there was a guy who started going to Other Realms. I remember seeing him. Did I meet him at Other Realms and then I saw him with you guys? Anyway, no, that's cool. It's amazing to me like how many gamers are actually out there. Okay. Gamers or RPGers. I don't know. I feel like certainly there's a fair amount of overlap between those two, but they're still different, very different communities, I feel.
They do so much. They're under so much pressure and stress. They have to be experts in business specialties.
Okay, if you can play a card, you may take up to 2 actions on your turn.
That's why we created Patriot Software. Make accounting and payroll simple for all size businesses, especially smaller businesses. Check us out at patriotsoftware.com.
This column, I feel like we don't need this column. If you play a card, you may take up to 2 actions on your turn. Let's see. Twice or pair the yeah, this is a lot clearer. Okay, if you can play a card, you may take up to 2 actions on your turn. You may take the same action twice or pair the actions in any order. Yeah. By the way, I've been enjoying the White Castle a lot. I'm going to take my turn in BGA real quick. I think this is our last turn. I got smoked yesterday. I played, or at least I felt like it. I think I don't know, the guy I played with. Yeah, the White Castle it's a pretty crazy game, actually. It's this sort of Japan-themed, ancient Japan-themed game. You're selecting and placing dice. And in my view, it is a very, very clever game. It was kind of a lot at first for me to try to understand. I played it once with Dean and then tried to click through it on BGA and was totally lost. Totally forgot how it worked. And when I was at BGG Con, I watched a group play. I'm not sure what is Himeji. Is that a different game, or is that like an actual place, or what? Okay. What's wild about this game is that in the whole game, the whole entire game, you get 9 actions. You get 9 turns. The whole game. And it's an engine building game where your turns get more and more powerful. You can accomplish more. It's a massive castle surrounding complex. Oh. Got it. Yeah, you can see the outline of a Japanese style construction here. I'm not sure of the actual, if it's representing a real place or not. But there's like training grounds for warriors. There's the castle itself. There are these bridges across a little stream. I don't know what else. Anyway, I'm going to take my final turn here, and you'll kind of see a little bit about how it works. So there are these dice placement locations. The dice are on these bridges over here on the left. You can either take from the left side of the bridge. There were 3 dice for 2 players. It's themed on Himeji. Cool. For 2 players, there are 3 dice on each bridge, and if you take from the left, it's probably going to be a weaker action. The lower value dice are on the left, and I'm not going to explain the whole game, but if you take a die from the left, you get a little extra stuff. But you're less likely to have you're more likely to have to pay an extra cost for doing that. Whereas if you take the dice on the right, you're likely to maybe make a little money, or have a more powerful action, or be able to take a more powerful action, but you're not going to get the little benefit that comes with this little lantern action that's shown on the left. So anyway, you're picking from these bridges. The dice actually correspond, some specifically, like this shows a little black box. That means if you place a die here, like for example, if I took this black 4 and I placed it here, first of all, it would be free because it's a 4, it matches exactly. And then I would activate this black row. So whatever corresponds to this black box. If I were to take this black 4 and place it down here on this 3, then I activate whichever rows are related to the black boxes. And so I'd actually get to do 2 things. First, I would make $1. So if I place a die that is higher in value than the die that's shown in that location, I gain that much money. I gain the difference in money. Money's helpful for a few different things. And then I activate whichever banners, I think they're called, are associated with the die of that color. But if I took this red one, which I am gonna do, that was my plan. So I take the red one. I don't get any bonus for doing this. Yeah, it was a little bit sad that he took that. What did he do? He placed here. I was gonna place here and get the lantern bonus, but he took that die and placed here instead because it's basically worker placement, so you are blocking. Okay, so I'm gonna go here, and then what this says, I know it's tiny, but this says I pay one of these seals to take the warrior action. That's what is associated with the red die up here. So then this is the warrior training area. Each of these has a cost. So if I pay 3 iron anvil things, which I'm gonna do, I can place a guy up here. So this is cool because it's a multiplier for people I have in the castle. But anyway, doing that also lets me take a gardener action. The gardeners are over here in the bridges. So I'm going to perform a gardener action. And then doing that is going to take me to one of these 3 choices I haven't where I haven't placed a guy. Let's see. Hang on. I think the best thing for me is going to be to place I just realized, another reason it would have been good if I was able to play the black die down here rather than the red die right here. I would actually make a few more points up on this track. Anyway, just realized that. I'm going to come down here. The reason is that I get points for placing the guy here, but also I take this immediate bonus. I pay 3 to perform the castle action, the courtier's action. And that's what's happening in the castle. So the warriors, gardeners, and the castle. So you can see on one turn, I've actually done all 3 types of things. That's impossible at the start of the game, but toward the end, you can see like you need a bunch of resources to do it, but once you gather all the right resources, you can chain stuff together. So it starts to feel really fun, because you're taking these really powerful turns. So I'm going to pay 2. I have exactly 2 pearls, so that was perfect. And I'm going to move. I think it's better. So you get points for where your guys end up in the castle. So like this guy's earning me 10 points. These 3 guys are earning me 1 point each. the difference between this step and this step is 2. The difference between this step and this step is 3. So I think that means I need to move this guy up. And I think this is better because I'm going to earn the lantern bonus, which is going to give me a point down here. Whereas I would just get 2, whatever these things are, these birds. So that option, I'm going to do that for sure. Okay, so then you gain the stuff. You actually take that card. This is part of the engine building that happens. Oh, passage of time. That's what that little track is up there. And then you gain all the stuff off of the lantern action right here. Okay, we just commit, because once you draw a new card, obviously you can't undo anything. And I'm going to skip paying because I have no guys left, so I'm going to confirm that that was my last turn. And I think, yeah, now we're at final scoring. So I think this game went very well for me. Or as I played yesterday, got smashed. This one, I was able to chain a lot of stuff together, so I think it should turn out pretty well. Yeah, I think the guy that I played final score last night was 57. I was in the 30s. It's cool to make it to 50. I don't think I've ever made it to 50 before. It felt really good to notice a couple things. Like when I realized that I could chain together stuff going on up here with stuff over here, and that these things let me do more stuff over here. It was pretty wild. Like that feels good to like notice how sections of the board relate to each other, because every game is different. These are all, I guess, cards or tokens that get placed out randomly, and so you basically do have to analyze the board every time, probably like pretty thoroughly, to look for these little efficiencies. And it was really fun to realize, oh, that leads to that, leads to that, and I'll have just enough for this thing over here, and then just enough for that thing over there. Like that last turn was pretty powerful, actually. Because as you saw, I got to do all 3 sections, or take all 3 major actions because of this chain that existed. So, and I mean, also my opponent, you know, you can see that he did very well too. He got 45 points. I got 50, and certainly that last turn, well, that last turn by itself, I got 7 points from here, 1 point from here, 3 points by moving this guy up, so that's already 11, and then a multiplier. Let's see, yeah, I placed the multiplier here, so that's another 3 points. So just in that final turn, you know, I got a quarter of my points, almost a quarter of my points in the whole game, and certainly that's what allowed me to pass this guy. So anyway, it's a pretty cool engine building game. It also has the matcha expansion. I haven't played that yet. So anyway, that's it. Okay, back to kind of cleaning up this section of the rulebook. And then, I promise, after this, I'm going to switch back to Sugar Shack. Okay, taking a turn. Take actions. If you play a card, you may take up to 2 actions on your turn. You may take the same action. Take up to 2 actions from the list below on your turn. Or pair the 2 types of actions in any order. Yeah, way clearer. Let me also go through this email just a little bit more. Okay, so that was huge, right? Like when, like seeing that this person, that it wasn't obviously you could do 2 of the same thing. It's kind of cool that they figured it out and realized that that's essentially the heart of the game, is like trying to set yourself up so that you can play 2 cards on your turn, or set another player up so they can play 2 cards. It's cool that they kind of figured that out, but the rulebook needed to do a way better job. Okay. So the event cards, there was confusion with the event cards because I listed some number in the rulebook, but the cards themselves showed a different number. I think I just never updated that table, so that confused them. This is also a really interesting observation, because if there are 3 event cards in the game, to clear those, then the players need to discard 15 cards out of their decks total to get rid of them. And their decks are 18 cards each. So if let's say they discard most of their single icon cards. Yeah, I think it would be good to run the math on that, like worst case scenario stuff. Because it might make it impossible. Or at least very unlikely that you would actually end up having enough icons to satisfy the requirements on the remaining cards. So if, like, it might be mathematically impossible. Always. If you discard 15 cards to clear the challenge cards. To clear the event cards, then yeah, you might not be able to actually ever finish the game, and that's something I do need to work out. Okay. I do think some of the confusion of the setup will be hopefully mitigated by the final design, color scheme, etc. of the playing cards. Having to divide it into 10 different piles. This was also interesting. First of all, I think she probably meant 9 different groups of cards, or 9 different, like there are 9 different places here in this diagram. So first, yeah, because she saw that as 10 different piles and then organized it and set it up from there. So that's actually, I think I'm so used to the idea that, like, you are this player, so you get this deck of cards. This is your deck. And it's not like an obstacle to, like, find your cards and set them up for yourself. But she viewed that as, like, sorting out all the cards into all these different piles. And I think that's probably fair. Like on your first game, in your first game, the cards are all kind of mixed up, and you're sorting the cards into the player decks. And then oh, wait a minute. Wait, she's right. There are a lot of piles. I guess so. There are. Okay, there are 9. There are 10. 10. She's right. So it's because there are 4 characters, so each of those needs their own deck. Then there are 4 types of challenge cards, and those get sorted if necessary. Then there are event cards, that's the last pile, and then there's the ADRA HQ card. So there are actually 10 discrete card types that people need to like sort out. Oh man. That's funny. Okay. Yeah, well, if you're playing with all, well, she wouldn't have known this, I guess. Like it's not necessarily obvious, or wasn't obvious in the rules. But if you're playing with 4 characters, you really don't, or with 2 characters, you don't need to sort the challenge cards. They're just all in the deck. They all get shuffled together into the mission deck, and then, or into the challenge card pool, and then you draw cards off of that to make the mission deck. Anyway, that's wild. Okay, so 10 different piles, and organize and set up from there. Figuring out which piles correspond to which of the diagram and the instructions was a bit confusing, but hopefully the different types have different colors. That will be solved a bit. Yeah, that for sure will happen. Yeah, that's wild. Okay. Yeah, I think that's still why this is so important. It's so important to workshop the rulebook. I kind of wish they hadn't distributed the rulebook to so many different. I don't know how many different groups have that old rulebook, but if these people had a challenge, some people are just going to give up and say this game is not playable. So that's unfortunate. But anyway, lots of changes to the rulebook here, and hopefully it's a lot clearer, like setting up and actually playing. I really appreciate the feedback though from Liz. She was, yeah, just spending that much time on the game that does not have clear rules, on a game that doesn't have clear rules, is pretty awesome. Okay. Anyway, I think just this little tweak, now that I realized the language was the same from the old rulebook to this newer version. If you play a card, you may take up to 2 actions from the list below on your turn. You may take the same action twice or pair the 2 types of actions in any order. The same type of action twice or pair the 2 types of actions in any order. That's a million times clearer. So I'm glad that follow-up email helped me catch that. Yeah, I do still wish they all referenced the doc, the Google Doc though, rather than. Yeah, I also, another huge change was to drop the event cards down into the advanced game section, the advanced version section. Because that does, it adds to the setup. It's funny now that I understand what she's saying about the 10 piles. It might not be super necessary to move the event cards down there, but I think it just to reduce that or to flatten that learning curve a little bit. I think it's probably better. Even though I misunderstood her feedback, I think it's still a better move to place those event cards in the advanced variant. Okay, I think that's it for ADRA HQ for today. I have promised myself, and also anybody who cares, that I would revisit Sugar Shack. Like the last 2 streams, I made the same... I told the same lie that I would get to Sugar Shack, and I never did. Okay. So Sugar Shack. What I'm feeling with this game is, and this is based on the last playtest I did in person, it's like there are certain features of it that I think are working really well now, but it's just the gameplay, the fiddliness, the steps to remember, it's just not clicking. It's just, it could be an audience issue. I feel like it's probably not. We played with 2 fairly experienced gamers. So there's something about the game that is not smooth enough, not intuitive enough. And that's what I'm going to look at here, just to see if I can diagnose some of what's going on. I know one of the things that both focused on, especially one guy who tried last time, but, oh, you know what? I realize my fan has not been on this whole time. So my laptop will have been struggling. Let me see if I can save some resources here. It's still wild, like, yeah, to have just to have these streaming like windows going, and Vivaldi is a lighter browser. That's why I'm using it. Vivaldi's a lighter browser than Chrome. It still eats up a lot of resources. Okay, I'll be right back.
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words, create your brand, your opportunity, your breakthrough. Wix.
Okay, so some of this does seem to be a component issue. Yeah, where like maybe the cost is not clear enough or it's not obvious enough. I also think you probably don't, there's no reason to flip there's no reason to flip the warehouse. Like that's just one of those little things. I think my question is something about how can I well maybe describe some of the processes that happen. So the like the different sets, the different routines, yeah, the different little systems that players need to run all the time and just kind of remember to take care of. So, first of all, Sugar Shack, their actual Sugar Shack. They're moving guys from here into here. Right? They're, let's say, if at the start of the round, you know, these guys are all out in town, they need to first bring these guys back. Bring these guys back, then move this guy over. Then move this over, and then move this in. Okay, that's the little Sugar Shack process. So that's like quite a few steps. It's 4 steps, right? And that's what I have listed here. Start of the turn, you do 4 things. So let's go through it again. So you bring these guys down, bring this guy over, bring this in, and then bring this in. Also, the flow, like the actual directional flow, is pretty weird. It's cleaner over here because the Sugar Shack, the Sugar Bush is on this side. So again, from this player's point of view, let's see, we refill, this moves over, these move over, and then this moves in. So that from left to right, it's still not super intuitive because you might want to do the first thing on the left. You might want the first thing you do to be on the left side of everything. You want to accomplish things from left to right as like a left to right reader, or like culture of reading, or like language group. You want to do things from left to right. Well, but that's a problem because these things need to be emptied before they can be filled. So, that's really only a consideration for one of the things. But still, you need to empty the evaporator before you can fill it with the Sugar Bush. So you actually have to do the things. You're moving from left to right, but you're accomplishing tasks from right to left. So that's pretty weird. Maybe it just is not, yeah. Maybe there's another way to move things around. There was a time when this was just ongoing. Like things happened automatically, so you would update them at the end of every turn, and I feel like that was kind of annoying. Like you just had to remember. Interesting. What if I went back to an old version of this game? Oh no. Oh no, oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
For people with eosinophilic esophagitis or EOE, you can treat your EOE or just deal with symptoms. Dupixent is a breakthrough treatment proven to help reduce inflammation in the esophagus and improve swallowing.
Wow. Okay. So what if yeah, this is an old idea, but maybe its time has come to return. That there is nothing really automatic going on. Originally, the actual evaporator was automatic, but you still had to go to the sugar bush to gather sap, right? For example, you still had to send a guy out there, and that guy would help you move sap. Okay.
New discoveries waiting behind every door.
This changes the whole pace of the game. This changes. I don't know. Because what if this location also is the way that you move?
The titlet of fire that still burns.
Oh man.
I need to see more. I need to go further. To uncover the secrets of Atlantis.
Okay, what happens to the game if on your turn I feel like it would have to increase the number of meeples every player has, maybe by one. Because now if you might feel like you're really wasting time to have to go gather this stuff. But let's see what a round would look like. So you start with 3 guys. Let me refill this. Actually, let me go back. I'm not sure why I saved the game in this state, but I'm gonna gather everything back. Wait a minute, this isn't even... Oh, like, most of these cards are actually outdated. Yikes. Yeah, they're the old card size. That's... huh. Wonder why the Grant Office is the only one. Wow, this actually would take a fair amount of time to update. Okay, what am I updating? Can update the back. This I have to do whether I change the gameplay or not. Like this set of cards is very much outdated. Yeah, like the card size changes and everything. So we can add this. This is the grant office. Oh shoot, the grant office has a unique back, that's right. Grant office back. Wow. This is the gift shop. And the gift shop back. Closer Be Market, I think, is just, there's no special back for it. Oh. Regular. Well, I think I might have just ran across an idea that would certainly change. It would reduce fiddliness in the sense that you don't have to remember to like run something. Because you're taking, as your turn, you're taking the action that you would have automatically taken before. What is this called? Serp Ink. Yeah, you're taking as an action what you would have automatically done. But you'd have to remember to do it in a specific order. You wouldn't have to remember, I mean the player aid's there, but you still have to just like keep going through this little step-by-step process. And I think we could reduce that feeling just by making it a worker placement action. Rather than, here, do this thing. Do this thing over and over. Certainly was. Ooh, where's the Farland back? Ah, Farland Market. I guess the what was this last one? Oh, the hardware store. Hardware store back. Community projects. Actually, I do need to change the Anyway, this is progress. I'm just gonna clean these up. Well, I can, yeah, I'll finish this some other time, but I think what I wanted to do is just run through a few turns as if the taking, like, refilling from the sugar bush and bottling were distinct actions rather than just like a process. Oops. I'll save this for now.
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words, create your brand, your opportunity, your breakthrough. Feeling a vibe? Run with it.
Okay, so what you could do is
Gotta have it. Make every detail yours. Bring out what's hot. It's not. Crispy.
I feel like this opens up a lot of
Your voice to your audience.
opens up a lot of opportunities for combos, and I'm not sure
Solutions that meet you where you are.
if I want to go that direction or not, but let me just explore this for a second.
Smooth to make.
So let's say on my turn I wanted to place this. Place a cube. I'll bring in a few cubes just to...
At my last job, we used this tool called Scribe for onboarding. Honestly, it makes everything so much easier. Scribe, what's that? It's a tool that creates step-by-step guides while you're doing a task. Here, let me show you. So I just open the report here, update this, and save it. See? It automatically documents every step I take and adds screenshots. It looks like I spent hours on this, right? But it's literally just what I did 5 seconds ago.
So I come out here, I want to claim a spot, so I'm the red player.
Super
Just
straightforward.
leave it like
You've been
that.
holding out on us. These reports
On my next turn,
worked here forever. All right, everyone, we're using Scribe for everything now.
let's
Try
say
to
I
replace outdated manuals with smart documentation.
want to gather some more. Oh, this is kind of interesting. So these could still be free actions. Okay. The pink one would disappear, but you could potentially pay. Yeah, this pink type would be gone, but you could pay to fill this. I don't know, let's see. Okay, so first action was to go to the warehouse, drop off a cube. Second is to come over here and fill this space, for example. Third is turn in a cube for 3 money. Okay, and I gain my 3 money here. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Right there. Now I recall my guys. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, interesting. What if recalling also lets you bottle? Okay, let me write a few of these things down real quick, actually. And then I really do need to transition away and finish up some grading. Okay. Let's see. 12. Let's call these brainwaves. Trying to reduce the fiddliness, and processing steps in the game. So here is give each player 3 workers. Make the sugar bush a location for a worker. To the evaporator, okay. Give each player 3 workers. Upon recalling workers, that's when you bottle syrup. So this doesn't make any sense anymore. Like this action, like a space. Well, wait a second. So if this space sends stuff to the evaporator, what does this do? Because I was gonna say he can bottle. And then this guy's left over. Yeah, maybe that's fine. I just don't want players to feel like they just constantly have to do this anyway. So like, what's the point? Why not just make it automatic? Just give me syrup already. that kind of thing, rather than make me do this, like place a guy out here all the time. I don't know, because then you're thinking in terms of batches, right? Because if, I mean, you would kind of be processing things like that too in the current game, but if you're really thinking about batches, so let's say you go here to fill, I don't know what it takes. Right, so maybe you start the game like this. Then I don't know how many spaces in the evaporator there should be, but let's hang on. So let's say I start with 3 guys. I could 3 guys and 2 cubes as an example. What I could do on my first turn is I could spend these 2 guys up here, gain a cube, right? Gain all this other stuff, roll for it, and whatever. And then come over here for my second, bottle everything. But I want gathering workers to feel good, because this just feels like a wasted. I like that. I like the fluid nature, though. I like that. You could just keep, like, we don't all have to go through the same steps at the same time. Okay, everybody's done? All right, let's run our sugar shacks. Like, that sounds less cool to me. Okay, so instead, I still like the idea of placing here. So maybe the pink, maybe you do fill twice here, and then as a free action you could fill to the third, right? Okay. And then these guys go out and do their thing. Let's say there's not as much here. So you gain a cube directly here. You know what this does? Having this more free-flowing style, I think what it because what is this? What is this? I think the free-flowing style, I think what it does is it frees up your mind. Like it breaks that. It would free you from the situation where you feel like, okay, you just have to run this little thing constantly and it gets kind of old, or like, oh shoot, every time I need to remember the steps here, I need to remember the process. And it would instead highlight, allow you to highlight a part that I feel like is kind of hard to remember, which is like at the end of the week, like running this little process. Because you might just feel like you're doing this work constantly. Like, I have to run my evaporator and then I send my guys out. Run my evaporator, send my guys out. Run my evaporator, run the end of the week, then send my guys out. Evaporator, 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 and week. Evaporator, 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 and then week. Like, and just, I feel like that's weird. Like that, those, just remember to go through those steps would be annoying. So to find a way to make the rounds, not necessarily rounds, but oh, now we would just have 3 rounds. This would also eliminate the first player. Hang on. These are big changes. Yeah, what happens to first player as a mechanic? Okay, try to reduce, okay, make sugar bush location rounds. What are rounds now? Now disappear. So I like that. I like the possibility that rounds as they exist right now, those are just gone. Because whenever you're ready, you just recall your workers. Right? And so you could have somebody who likes, or who's spending them one by one. You could have somebody who, Yeah, I think this opens the whole thing up a lot in a really interesting way. But yeah, okay, so first player. Rounds, it's great that the sugar bush still times the game, so when the sugar bush runs out, that's the first round. And I love that. I think that's way better than little rounds and then mega round. Little rounds and then mega round. I think doing away with running the evaporator, and that you both spend everything and then everybody's done. Okay, let's run our stuff. Okay, everybody's done. I think eliminating that sounds amazing. But the idea of first player is gone now. I think, how do you bring out, what is the timing for bringing in new buildings? I think that wouldn't be a huge problem to solve. I think probably I think I would just mark this card. So like in the first round, the first build, when these two are open, sorry, so you're covering these squares, right? Covering these squares. Just like this. And when you, oh shoot. Why did I do that? Okay. So when you show, or when you uncover, so it works something like this. You always uncover from left to right. So when both of these are visible, one town building comes out. When these are visible, so it would happen pretty fast, especially obviously if you're spending cubes. If you're spending if you're moving more cubes into the evaporator at a time, then then you would basically have a little stockpile of cubes to work with, and then just go back occasionally and refill your evaporator. Okay, so this still, the timing still might not be thrown off a whole lot. I mean, as far as the pace of the game. Well, let's see how this goes. Right, so we got, I think 3 is probably better than 2 as the basic number. Okay. So let's say this is full. Say you start with two like this. And these are not out yet. One of them is out, but 2 of them are not. Still doing that setup. Okay, so here's the starting situation for this player. First, the player goes here, drops off a cube. Cool. Let's say fills up this space. Cool. And then last action, maybe over here. Okay. So we recall. Oh, I think I said from left to right. Recall our guys. And then these two get bottled at the same time. Okay, now yeah, I don't know. So you could really go for a while, looks like. Wait a second. So this comes, oh, so this does come off. Feels like some weird rules like yeah, I'm curious how I would clarify this. So once these guys get recalled back, if they get recalled off of one of these cards, this comes out. I already don't like that. Because it's doing all these checks, I think that's not cool. Okay, when I bring back my guys, did you bring them back off of a town card that's not flipped over yet? If you did, then flip over that town card, right? Wow, what if we go back to all these buildings are available? Rounds are helpful for that reason. I mean, the mini rounds are helpful for that reason. That, okay, it's the end of the round. Is there a town card that's unflipped? Well, flip one. Right? Like, that's actually helpful to have that, to build in that step of a check. Still, it's weird, I guess, that it's weird to have these two different phases. I like the idea of the town waking up, but maybe it's not that great. Maybe it doesn't really help a whole lot. I just don't love having to explain every single card right at the start of the game. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure yet what to do about that. Another way to do this is if these are locations just like this, and then when this flips, then these flip. No, I think you want upgrades earlier than that. Okay, what if this is the situation? So you can still go to these places and get stuff, right?
Life doesn't wait, and neither should you. Aleve can help you deal with pain less throughout your day, whether it's a long day on your feet, a demanding workout, or
So I would say when this is empty, let's say for instance, when this is empty, like this far, then these two flip. When this gets emptied all the way, then these two flip. So it'd still be a way of having a kind of a reveal. So if this whole, this is all like this. Okay, let me go through through a few turns like this. So rather than when I interact with these cards, so there's no check. Did you interact with a card? And when you recall, do you have to do this thing? So that there's no check like that. Okay. Then instead of let me get 4 more. Okay. let me set up like it was before, kind of. So the pink now, the pink just gets filled automatically, but you can still pay. You could still, yeah, first player. How does first player change? There is no real first. Huh. You know what? I think we just eliminate the concept of a first player, except that there is gonna be somebody's gonna start the game, and they're first player. But I think because because of the dissolution of the rounds, then I think there's no real sense that like that race is going to work completely differently, because as players choose to play 2 meeples or 1 meeple, then that there's going to be this natural flow rather than go stop. Okay, you're first player, you go first. Go stop. Okay, we switch first player, you go first. That's now there's going to be just this fluid, more dynamic flow. A fluid flow. How's that? Doesn't make any sense. So then, first player, if there is an advantage to being the first player, then it just needs to be addressed with setup. That's it. And once setup is over, I think the first player advantage is totally gone. I mean, once you start the game and you give the second player just maybe a couple more resources or something like that, an extra dollar, an extra cube in their garage, then after that, there's no guarantee. There's no other stopping point, I guess, except for How do you remember whose turn it was when you have to flip over the sugar bush? Hi, this is Scott.
Hi, this is Hayden with Amazon Delivery. I'm just trying to figure out which one is apartment 3. Are you guys the one upstairs?
Oh, no, I'm in the back. I'm in the back of the building.
Back.
So I'm on the ground floor in the back.
Okay, sorry. I'll go ahead and find it then.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you.
I'll see you in a second. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, thanks.
It looks like my stream cut off anyway. Perfect. That's crazy.